So when I'm not with you on this podcast or interviewing some of the coolest people on the planet that I love doing for this podcast, or I'm not with my coaching clients in my coaching business, I'm often traveling around the country and now traveling around the world with my Mastering Overwhelm workshop. I bring a lot of the tools from the book Only Tens, Confront Your To-Do List, Transform Your Life. I bring those to CEO roundtables and leadership organizations all around the country. And these workshops, usually about 2.5 hours, we do a lot of specific exercises on how to deal with the inundation of stimulus and responsibilities and demands on our time. So we definitely do practical stuff, but I spend the first 45 minutes to an hour in our heads. And I spend time, and I'm going to do that with you now, really pinpointing where the source of overwhelm is. So think about it. Just for now, where do you think overwhelm lives? Where do you see overwhelm? Can you point to overwhelm in the room? And a lot of you are probably pointing to your to-do list, or thinking about your children, or thinking about your employees, or thinking about just the media and the news and all the things around you that are overwhelming, and the fear that brings up. And what I challenge you to think about is, are those things really overwhelming? So for me, a recovering people pleaser, I used to get overwhelmed when someone made a request. When someone made a request of me, asked me to do something, hey, Mark, would you be the treasurer for the Cub Scouts or something like that? I didn't have the fortitude to say no, or I didn't have the fortitude to say yes, but I'll do it with help or something like that. So when someone makes a request, what I know now, and I teach because I needed to learn it myself, is if someone makes a request, you have one of three responses: yes, no, or renegotiate. Yes, I'll do that. No, I can't do that. Or yes, I can do that, but in this way, or in this time frame, or if you help me with such and such. And then we have those responses. And someone is making a request is not a demand, even though that's how I used to hear it. They can make a request all day long, and if I'm comfortable setting boundaries, it's not going to cause me overwhelm. But if I'm kind of a people pleaser and I don't have the self-worth and the self-esteem to actually say no and feel fine about that, it's going to cause me overwhelm. So that should be a clue of where overwhelm lives. Here's another clue. The saying has always been, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. Or as I would interpret that to be, is we're not really in relationship with the world. We're in relationship of what we think about the world. We're not in the relationship with the world. We're in relationship what we think about the world. And most people, we think about them. We make judgments about people before we meet them. And we're in relationship with what we think about them or our histories with them, and not really looking at them fresh. A little bit of Buddhism thrown in there. So now let's talk about, again, our to-do list and all the stimulus that's going on in the world. Overwhelm is our relationship and what we think about all the demands on our time, all the responsibilities that we have, the things that people ask about us. So where am I trying to go with this? Overwhelm lives between your ears. The great Steve Chandler, coach, author, he says overwhelm is a fear of outside consequences for doing something or not doing something. Overwhelm is the fear of outside consequences of doing something or not doing something. So you look at your list. Oh my God, I was supposed to pay this bill. Oh my God, I was supposed to do this. I forgot to do this. And you get overwhelmed because of the consequences of what people are going to think about you. So what you're doing is you're causing overwhelm by the fear that is inherent in each item on your to-do list or in each demand. Fear of disappointing someone when they ask you something and you say no, right? So wanting to be all things to all people, and having a genuine want to help is always there. But again, the overwhelm is in how we think about what's on our plate. Often for me, it's the triggers of certain things. So if something's on my plate that is inherently triggering to me, and by triggering means it gets my fight or flight up. So if I have to do the laundry, my fight or flight is not going to go up. I happen to enjoy laundry. It's mindless and it's productive, and there's a beginning and an end. At least to that round, there's never an end to laundry, but there's an end, and I enjoy that. But if my accountant says, I need you to fill out these papers and get me these documents, I'm going to go into overwhelm because I'm going to go into fight or flight. So I need to learn how to talk myself down because I'm having an outsized reaction to something that's very normal. Mark, can you just get me these documents? And then I automatically go into, did I save those documents? Did I put them in a folder? Are they on my computer? And I freak out about it. I have to talk myself down from the ledge. So the summary of this is overwhelm isn't out there. Overwhelm isn't because your to-do list is so long. Overwhelm isn't because you're not good at time management. Overwhelm is because you scare yourself. You just outsize the consequences of all the things that you're supposed to do. Now, that you may have things that are really important and have really big consequences. I'm not saying that there aren't important things. I'm saying that we place importance on so many things that we get overwhelmed. Throw in some allostatic load, and we've talked about that on the Mastering Midlife podcast. Allostatic load is that general level of stress and anxiety on our body that is there all the time. So if you wake up in the morning and you watch the news, then you know who to be mad at. And then you think about COVID, and then you think about the traffic, your allostatic load goes up and up and up. So you have less capacity to be creative, to be in relationship with people, to handle things coming at you. So with our allostatic load high, things are going to be overwhelming faster. If you haven't eaten, right? Often when you're hungry, it's tough to be sane about things if your blood sugar drops, right? So there's all these variables that go into overwhelm. It's really interesting to me. One of the tools that I teach is the buddy breathing kind of thing on Zoom. If I have some, like, let's say the taxes, I need to find all these tax documents. I need to put everything together for my accountant. I'll have a friend who also has something they have to do, get on Zoom. We talk about what we want to do. We turn off our mics. We mute everything down. We spend a half hour. We spend an hour doing the thing. And for some reason, it's so simple when I have someone with me and I have that energy. I can get all kinds of things done. The ADD just goes away. So what does that tell me? It wasn't the thing. It's how I feel and think about the thing. So next time you're overwhelmed, take a deep breath, slow your physiology down a little bit, see how you're scaring yourself. And by the way, if you go to the resource pages on my website, I do have a 6-question worksheet on how to talk yourself off the ledge when you're seeing a saber-toothed tiger in an action item on your to-do list, when you're really triggered and scared. But really understand that you're generally always overwhelming yourself between your ears. The world isn't overwhelming you as much as you think it is. I love you a ton. Hope we're going to learn a lot together. I think we're on episode 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, something like that on the podcast. And let me know, send me questions. Let me know how I can help. I love you. Have a great rest of the day.